What is the relationship between developer relations and avocados? At first, I used to think developer relations was all about flying around, going to different countries. Today you're in UK, tomorrow you're in Canada, giving talks, conferences, and all those stuff. I also used to think developer relations or developer advocates were people who had large followings on social media. I thought to even be a developer advocate, you need to have such number of followings, or you need to have a large influence on social media. And as well, I used to think developer advocates were people who liked avocados. Maybe they like the fruit itself or just the emoji, but you find it a lot in their social media handles. Now, I've been in the DEVREL space for 2 years, and I've come from a point of not knowing why some of all these things were the way they were, and I've come to a point now where I understand some of all those things. So in this video, I want to share how I transitioned from these 3 confusions or mindset to having a better picture of developer relations, and hopefully that gives you more insight or knowledge about this role. Hi, I'm Dillion, and I am currently an internal developer advocate. In my previous role, I used to be the external developer advocate, but now I'm an internal developer advocate. And if you'd like to know what that means, I have a different video where I talk more about that. I'm going to leave a link to that video in the video description. And like I mentioned in the intro, I've been in the DEVREL space for 2 years, and a lot of things that I didn't used to understand now make sense. Well, to start off, what is the whole deal with developer relations and avocados? As a matter of fact, if you check on my Twitter right now, my username also has the avocado emoji, and I can tell you for a fact that I am not a fan of the fruit. But now I understand why the whole avocados thing came into DEVREL. You'll be surprised to know that avocado actually came out of a mistake, out of a mispronunciation. Now, before I got to understand what the whole avocado thing was all about, I used to think advocate sounds like avocado, then people just started using avocado since it was a fancy name. And while that kind of makes sense, there's actually an origin to where avocados came from. This is a talk by Mary Tengval where she explains the importance of investing into relationship with the developer community. She explains what developer advocacy, evangelists, and all of that are. You can check out the video, you can see the link on the screen, you can actually watch the full video. But let's look at the part where she talked about where avocado even came from, and that is starting from 3 minutes 50 seconds.
Developer avocado, if you've heard of it. There's a bit of an analogy here to help you understand this. And this all started when I was back at SparkPost about 3 years ago, helping out with their DEVREL team. We had one of our project managers that had a hard time pronouncing developer advocate, and it would often come out developer avocado. And we as a team decided we loved the title, and we ran with it. And we came up.
Okay, I'm going to stop it right there. So you can see this is actually the true origin, at least from my research so far, of where avocado came in. It actually came out from a mispronunciation. And if you go further in the talk, she gets to a point where she actually explains why they decided to embrace avocados into the DEVREL naming. She mentions avocados are the good kind of fat, they take on the flavor of things around them, they go well with many different cuisines, they take a long time to ripen. Yes, I can actually testify to this, that DEVREL is a long game. You don't just build relationships overnight, it takes time. And also avocados are good for your heart. So these are some of the characteristics of avocados that made them stick with the avocados name. And you hear some people calling themselves developer avocados, or they have developer and then they have the avocado emoji. So this is the origin of avocados. I'm not sure if every developer advocate actually knows this is the origin, but whether we do or not, you would still find the emojis on our usernames most of the time. Now, moving on to the part where I saw developer advocates flying from one place to another, especially on Twitter, you see them always flying. For me, I thought like, wow, this is actually a great role to explore different countries. But what I've gotten to learn in the last 2 years is that different companies have different strategies for their developer relations team. In a particular company, they may be highly invested in all of this flying around, conferences and all those stuff. In some other companies, they may not be so highly invested in that, or maybe in their DEVREL team, only few people are involved with all of these travelings, and other parts of the team are involved with some other responsibilities. For example, being in the DEVREL space, in my last role as a developer advocate, my company never sponsored any of my trips to a different country. And also in my current role as an international internal developer advocate, my company has only sponsored one of my travelings to a different country. I mean, this was definitely not what I thought DEVREL would be when I come into this space. I thought by now I would have been to like 10 countries at least. But like I said, this depends on the company. Different companies have different strategies. Some companies, their strategies could be solely content, maybe from videos to articles to all this stuff. Some other companies, their strategies could be conferences and meetups, and then you'd find their employees flying around. And moving on to the third point, which I mentioned earlier, I used to think developer advocates were people who had large followings or large influence on social media. Like, to even qualify as a developer advocate or as a DEVREL person, you need to have that much influence. Well, I got my first developer advocate role with just, I think, 4K followers on Twitter, and I got my second one, my current one, with just 7K followers on Twitter. But actually, there are some companies who may be very specific, or they may prioritize large influence and large followings, or some other companies may not require that. The goal at the end of the day is to enable, to help the developer community, the developers that use the company's platforms. So if you already have some influence, okay, that is good. You can be able to inspire decisions, or you can be able to inspire people in different ways. And if you don't have that, maybe you can try to grow one while you are in the role. Some companies may prioritize all of that, while some other companies may not really prioritize that, as long as you have the necessary skill that they're looking towards for that role. So these are the three things amongst many other things that I was confused about in the DEVREL space, and now a lot of them make sense. I know some other people also think developer advocates do not write code. I've seen things like this on Twitter conversations or TikTok or even WhatsApp. Well, I never thought so, and the reason for that is, before I got into the DEVREL space, I used to be a technical writer, and as a technical writer creating content and even making video tutorials on YouTube, I had to write code. Like, whatever I was building in that content, I actually had to write the code for it, make sure that it works, in some cases even write tests for it. So I never thought developer advocates do not write code. I always knew they write code for the content that they create, for the demos that they create. So if you're somebody who also thinks DEVREL people do not write code, they actually do. Most of the time they do. In my previous role as a developer advocate, I used to write code. Even currently as an internal developer advocate, I still write code. I'll probably make another video talking about how developer advocates write code. So this is how I transitioned from the point of not knowing certain things to now having a good idea, and I really hope that this video has taught you something about developer advocacy, and now you now see a better picture as to why some of the things are the way they are, especially the whole thing with developer relations and avocados. If you're new to my channel, I share a lot here about my career as a software engineer and as a developer advocate. So if you'd love to see more videos like this, then please subscribe, also give this video a like and share. And again, if you'd like to learn about internal developer advocacy, I have a video that I made on it, and that video is by the right here, so you can click on it and learn about internal developer advocacy. Until my next video, enjoy the rest of your day. Peace.